Hi all, I'm Arvine and I'm going to be transitioning us into the admissions panel. First, I just want to thank you guys for being here and I hope that your BLAST experience has been going well. And as we enter our last panel, I just wanted to give a quick thanks to our panelists for taking time out of your Saturday morning to help our pre-health community succeed. Thank you all very much. We're so excited to be here and so thankful that we have resources such as you guys to come in and talk to us. As we go ahead into the admissions panel, I'm going to go ahead and name the schools that are here, and our panelists can give a quick introduction on who they are and which admissions committee they are representing. And once I go through the panelists, I will pass on the torch to Bella and Sarah, my pre-health ambassador peers, and we can take it on to questions. So first, I would like to introduce Dr. Betty Copeland from the Northern Arizona University Physician Assistant Program.
Hi guys, that's what I am. I'm actually a PA. I'm a PhD kind of doctor. I'm not a physician type of doctor. And so, yeah, I'm representing NAU's PA program, which for those of you that are in Phoenix and want to stay close to home, the NAU PA program is actually in Phoenix, not in Flag.
Thank you so much. Next, I will be introducing Dr. Mark Priolo from the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Phoenix. Dr. Priolo, are you here? We'll come back to him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him log in, but if he does, I will send you a message.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And then next, I will be introducing Dr. Tejal Parikh from the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Tucson. Dr. Parikh, are you here? Maybe we're a little early.
It's okay. So go down the list and I usually can see who's logging in, so I'll let you know.
Perfect. Next, we have Dr. Deanna Hughes from A.T. Still University.
I'm here. I made it. I remembered. I will say it's Saturday being, one of those things you have to remind yourself to log in for. But thank you so much for having me. I do represent all of our residential programs, not specifically just the DO schools. So we have the Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, we have the dental medicine program, physician assistant, occupational therapy, physical therapy, athletic training, and audiology. So those are our residential programs. We also have an upcoming program in speech language pathology as well. So we are located in Mesa, Arizona. We have a lot of U of A applicants and matriculants into all of our programs. So we're really happy to be here today and answer any questions for you.
Thank you so much. Next, I will be introducing Dr. Rebecca Fields from the University of Arizona College of Pharmacy.
Hey there, thanks for having me. For the record, not a doctor. You can just call me Rebecca, but I'm representing the U of A College of Pharmacy, and that includes both the Tucson and Phoenix College of Pharmacy campuses. We are one single program with two different locations. So I coordinate pre-pharmacy advising at U of A and also sit on the PharmD admissions committee. So I can talk in great detail about U of A's PharmD admission process and our requirements, but I can also talk about pharmacy school more broadly across the country. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Amazing, thank you. And next we have Dr. Jody Durham from the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. Dr. Durham, are you here?
Yes, she's on mute.
I do
There
that
you go.
every time. So I'm not a doctor either, so please just call me Jody. So I'm the senior admissions rep for Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. We are based in Tempe, Arizona, so about an hour and a half away from Tucson. So we have the one program, which is naturopathic medicine. We also have a master's degree in nutrition, but that's a whole different group of individuals. So I am here and happy to answer any questions regarding naturopathic medicine. Thanks for having us.
Amazing, thank you so much. Next, I will be introducing Dr. Tejal Parikh from the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Tucson.
Hi, everyone. I'm I'm Tejal Parikh. I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions here at the College of Medicine in Tucson, and I'm so excited to talk to you all today. I am a family physician, so I see patients here on campus 2.5 days a week. I also teach at the College of Medicine. I run a class called Life Cycle, which is a required class for second-year medical students, and I also teach in the doctor-patient course. So I am a societies mentor. You might have heard of that. So I take this 6 students out every week to see patients, to teach them how to do an interview and a physical exam, all those skills you need to learn as a physician. So that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parikh, and all of our panelists. I'm not sure if Dr. Priolo is here. Renee, can you check that?
I haven't seen him log in, but I will message you if he does.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to take it back to Sarah and Bella if you guys want to start with questions. And again, thank you, panelists, for taking time from your Saturday morning to be here for us.
Alrighty, hey guys, I'm Bella, and I'm going to start off some of the questions today for you guys. Also, thank you for being here. We all really appreciate it. I'm learning a lot too, so this is really great. But the first question, we were assuming we were going to get a lot, has to do with COVID-19. And it is, how has COVID-19 changed the admissions process for your program? So this is a general question. Any of you guys can answer it. So please feel free to jump in.
Hi, I'm happy to go ahead and answer that. So here at the College of Medicine in Tucson, what has changed because of COVID? The first thing is our interview day. So it is all virtual over Zoom, and we're still doing the multiple mini interview, which are the little mini interviews, but we're doing them over Zoom and kind of using Zoom breakout rooms. So that's one thing, but we used to do 9 little mini interviews. Now we're doing 6. Another thing that has changed is on your application, when you apply, we actually have a question that says, how did COVID-19 impact your volunteer work, your academic, maybe taking the MCAT, was it delayed? Or maybe are your classes pass fail? So this is a opportunity, it's an essay question for you to let us know, did you have financial hardships because of COVID-19? So to let us know, how did it impact your application process this season? Those are, and then we're also having students, we're accepting pass-fail classes for students. So that's a big thing. We've also kind of instructed our admissions committee to know that, volunteer work, community experience, everything has been cut back because of the pandemic, especially this summer. Every time we have a spike, many of those opportunities go away for students. So they know now too, when they're reading applications, to be cognizant of all of that. So those are some of the changes we've done because of, we know COVID-19 has impacted everybody.
So I can speak to NAU's PA program, and I'm glad to follow U of A because we've done some similar things. We do accept for sort of the period when people were doing pass-fail courses due to COVID-19. We just have a form that you can complete online. If you took a pass-fail course that we would normally expect for a graded course. So we're doing that. Our program for a number of years had considered dropping the standardized exam requirement, the GRE. So with COVID, we took the plunge and dropped it. So no standardized exam requirement. We are also doing interviews online. We also have an application question for people to explain if COVID-19 has affected their ability to prepare for PA school.
And I'm happy to jump in for AT Still admissions. As far as what everybody else has said, absolutely the same, remote interviews, pass-fail courses. The big one I can say for the DO school is the MCAT is no longer required for admissions to AT Still DO school. It is still highly encouraged. And if you have it, great, but they are letting applications go through without the MCAT. Now for PA, they still do require the GRE. So, it just depends on the admissions committee, but and then the dental school will allow you to go forward and review without the DAT. However, you do still need it for matriculation. So they're just reviewing and interviewing without it, but you do still have to have it.
I'll speak for College of Pharmacy. So we've made a lot of similar changes as well. We've moved to online interviews. We're taking the pass-fail grades. We did also waive our PCAT requirement for this year. That's not a permanent change, but for fall 2020 admission, we are not requiring the PCAT. We've also waived our experiential requirements this year. We've traditionally required 40 years of healthcare shadowing or paid employment, and also 40 hours of volunteer experience. And those have been waived just for this year as well.
So representing SCNM, or Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, I think I'm on the same boat as everybody else is. All of our interviews are done via Skype and not Zoom, which seems to work pretty good for us. We do have interviews every Friday. We have anywhere from 6 to 10 interviewees per week. We have put the MMIs as well on Skype, so that works really well. All of our classes, everything has been done virtually. Nobody is allowed on campus right now. Even their labs are done virtually. We're hoping come January, and this is just a hope, that we're going to kind of move to a hybrid where each quarter they will be required to do one lab on campus. But again, it all depends on what the pandemic's doing at that time. So.
Awesome. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was also really, really helpful. Just another question, once again, all of you guys can answer, is what does your selection process look like?
I was wondering if you could be more specific in what you mean by that selection process.
I'm assuming in terms of like from step one, like what are you guys thinking when you read the applications? Like what makes it stand out, kind of a thing? Mm-hmm.
Sure. You know, it's a very competitive process for any of our programs, I know, and we read a lot of applications. And as far as selection, we are looking for those we've kind of added the grit factor. What have you had to endure? What kinds of things did you overcome in your childhood to make yourself a good applicant, or in your schooling, or what did you have to work full time and things like that? So selection has improved to look for those who maybe are the diamond in the rough. So not necessarily do you have to have the highest scores for us. That's just our school. Again, they do matter, but selection is, it's gone a different way now, you know, and we're looking for the kind of applicant that best fits our mission, and that is to serve the underserved communities. So for us, if you have at least 150, 200 hours in broad-based community service to serve the underserved, that's going to make you stand out with A.T. Still University.
As far as SCN, I'm sorry. As far as SCNM, our prerequisite and cumulative requirement is a 3.0. However, we're really looking for the passion in the medicine. Why does somebody want to go into this profession? 80% of our students go into primary practice where they're actually an entrepreneur. That's tough nowadays, but we're really looking for that individual as far as their passion. Why do they want to do this? As well as, do they understand the profession? That's very important for us.
At College of Medicine in Tucson, we've always done holistic review. And holistic review in medical school admissions is really going beyond the metrics. So we do have baseline metrics for students to get a secondary application, which is a 498 MCAT, which is the 40th percentile. So that's holistic, and a 3.0 overall science and total GPA. So once you meet those minimum requirements, you will receive a secondary application, which actually has a couple more essay questions that really lets the admissions committee see, how do you fit with the mission of our college? We actually even have a question about mission fit on there. But when I talk about holistic review, it's really like going beyond metrics. It's really, we want to see, what's your motivation for pursuing medicine? Do you speak a language other than English that's commonly spoken among our patients in the medically underserved areas in Arizona? We look for leadership, we look for humanistic orientation. And one of the biggest things, you could say grit, you could say resiliency. You know, what are some obstacles you may have overcome in order to apply to medical school? And we all come from different backgrounds. And how did your background impact your decision to apply to medicine? So we look at all these different, we call them in medical school admissions attributes, but really they're characteristics. And we look at those throughout your application to really see if you fit the mission of our college. And our mission is broad, but definitely we are a public institution. So we really want to mirror in our students the patients that are in our Southwest population.
Okay, I have to follow that because I can just say what she said. So at NAU's PA program, yeah, I'll have to follow you every time. We're the same. We have a holistic admissions process. So even our first pass, our first screen, considers all of the attributes that were discussed in addition to academic metrics. Also a public institution. So probably most interested in people who want to practice and stay in Arizona, but interested in primary care, underserved communities, rural health. Those kinds of things are things that we view favorably. I would also just mention, if you're applying to NAU's PA program because you want to stay in Phoenix, I would also apply to AT Still and to Midwestern University's PA program. That's probably been discussed, but it's always a good idea to apply to multiple places.
I'll quickly throw in for pharmacy, pretty similar to what other folks have said. Our first pass of application review is really looking at the academic minimums. We're making sure people have demonstrated with their academic history that they are likely to succeed in the program. Students who meet that threshold, rather than being invited for a secondary application, are generally just invited for interview. And at that stage, we are looking more at the interpersonal skills and the passion for pharmacy. We don't want to admit people who don't know what they're getting into or who we don't think are going to be happy in the profession. So there's that initial screen for academic capability, and then we're really looking at the person in the interview.
All right, well, thank you all for that. So I do have another question for all of you. And it is, what are the common myths or misconceptions that you all hear about applying and the application process?
I think one of the myths that students have about applying to medical school is, what, you know, I have a 4.0 GPA, I have a 22 on the MCAT, I'm going to get in. It's like what we all just mentioned. It's really beyond the metrics. We're really looking for students who have also done community service in our community, that have challenged themselves. You know, we all come from different backgrounds, and we look at that and we see, how did you challenge yourself within your background? And maybe you had limited opportunities, but what did you do? Even if you did have limited opportunities versus someone who had a lot of opportunities, and what did they do? So we're really looking for students who put themselves outside their box, challenge themselves to work with people who look different than them, who might have different opinions than they do, and maybe challenge themselves by putting themselves in situations that are a little bit uncomfortable, and to see how they feel in them. Because that's what's really important, because as a physician, you're going to have to do that every day when you see patients. So we want to know that you've done some of those things. So it's really way beyond the metrics that we look at your whole picture in your application and also in the interview.
I think as far as naturopathic medicine, I think the biggest myth that we struggle with is students thinking it's easier to get into naturopathic medicine because it's not medical school per se, but it really is. We still have the same standards as in any other medical school. It's just a different profession. So you could come in with a 4.0 with a great GPA. Naturopathic medicine, we don't require any testing. So that's another thing. Oh, they don't require testing, so they're not a true medical school. That's not true. So, but you could come in with a student could come in with a 4.0, but if they absolutely know nothing about the profession or haven't really done their homework, or they don't stand out like we think they need to, then there's a problem getting in. It really is. So that's probably our biggest myth is students seem to think it's easier to get into the program.
And I would follow up to Jody, because I was thinking the same thing that I'm sure you deal with, is that people think it's a fallback profession to MD school. So I would say DO MD or DO med school is not a fallback. I always encourage students to shadow both an MD and a DO so they can see the differences and the similarities, and maybe get a letter of recommendation from both, because I know you're going to be applying to as many as you can. And there are so many similarities, but a lot of people have this perception that DO is just a fallback, and because I couldn't get into MD. But you know, we want to see your passion too, and we want to see why you want to be a DO, because there's a lot of reasons people choose DO. And then for PA as well, I'm sure you would agree that, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you can't get into med school, there's always PA. Well, our PA school requirements are actually higher and harder and tougher to get into than our DO school as far as the requirements go. They have minimum clinical hours, and they have a higher GPA and more classes. And so it's actually a higher threshold to get into PA school. So PA is a great profession to go into, and in no way as a fallback to med school.
So I would just follow up on that as representing the PA program, that when I counsel pre-PA students, I actually ask them about why PA school instead of med school. So as much as I love the PA profession, and it's definitely a right fit for me and for the people that you know, end up in PA school, if you want to be a physician, you know, that's what you should pursue. And, you know, as people have said here, you know, they're looking at the whole package. So just because you don't have a 4.0 does not mean you can't go to medical school. One other thing that's a little bit off, or maybe a little bit sort of trivial, but I would say that students seem to get advice about standing out because there are so many applications. So standing out, like during maybe a face-to-face interview, with what they wear or with their personal statement. And I think that is good advice. Just maybe have somebody look at your outfit or review your personal statement, that it doesn't stand out too much in the way that it maybe seems inappropriate. So, you know, sometimes I'll read a personal statement or something, and I'm just, did someone get bad advice about, you know, making this sound too much like a chapter in a novel or something like that? Or not that it's bad or anything, but or, you know, somebody will wear something that seems a little out there, and I'll think, did someone tell them that maybe that would help them stand out? But you want to just always make sure you're still appropriate. These are, you know, the health professions, and you should definitely be professional. So I don't want to you know, scare you away from standing out. Just make sure that maybe you get a second opinion on, you know, as long as it's appropriate.
I'll answer for pharmacy about the biggest misperception about applying. I think it actually comes down to a misperception about pharmacy as a whole. A lot of people assume that pharmacy is just a retail pharmacy profession, and they think about the pharmacists in their community pharmacies. And that misperception carries even into the interview process. We get candidates who demonstrate in the interview that they don't really understand the breadth of the field. We don't expect candidates to know in the interview process what type of pharmacy they want to practice. They have 4 years to figure that out in pharmacy school, but obviously part of preparing for the interview and showcasing that you're a good fit is demonstrating that you understand all the things you can do with a PharmD.
Well, thank you all for answering that one. I know I've definitely heard a lot of those myths that you all brought up, but I wanted to ask another question that came from the chat, and it's, in a holistic review, once you receive an interview, would you say that you are on an even playing field with the application pool at that point?
I would say for our school, definitely. You know, we have interviews every Friday, and yesterday we just interviewed 30 applicants. We do that on every Friday. And, you know, we tell all our applicants, you should be so excited that you've made it this far in the process. You know, you can't get accepted unless you have an interview. So you are really moving along in the process, and it's all because of all of the experiences you had, the hard work you did. And now as you come to the interview, this is a chance for you to communicate with the interviewers about why you're so passionate about medicine, why you are passionate about all the different things you did. Our interviews are blinded, which means that the interviewers do not know anything about you. They don't know your metrics. I mean, if you did bad in orgo, I did bad in organic chemistry in college, they don't know anything of that. So we do that deliberately. So it's we're trying to take out the bias. So no one has a preconceived notion of the type of person you will be when they meet you. So it's really up to you to kind of shine throughout these little mini interviews that we have. So if you've got an interview, you are very close to being accepted.
Exactly. Same thing with SCNM. I tell my students, because we have a much smaller pool than MD schools do, definitely, and DO schools. So naturopathic medicine is a much smaller pool, but I do read every essay. I look at every letter of recommendation and what they're saying. And again, while I'm looking at these applications, I'm looking for passion and what makes this person stand out. But I do tell my applicants, once you've been offered an interview, I'm pretty confident. I've been with the school for over 14 years, so I'm pretty confident that you're going to be accepted. However, I don't make that decision, thank goodness, but I have a pretty good idea that they'll get accepted. But I do, I've read many essays and it just didn't spark interest to me, and they have not been offered an interview. So yeah, you get to that point, we're pretty sure.
So I would just say, if we've invited someone for an interview, we feel pretty confident that they could succeed in the program. There are exceptions where we're maybe a little concerned about somebody's academics, but man, do we want to meet that person. So, kind of those with holistic admissions, that diamond in the rough. We interview about 130 students for 50 spots. And there are more qualified people than we can offer a seat to, unfortunately. So one thing I would say is that if you are placed on on the alternate list, or even if you're denied, that doesn't necessarily mean you weren't qualified. So I would contact the program, ask them, how your interview went, or are there anything, things that you can do to strengthen your application? And I will tell you, I know it wasn't asked, but those people that apply a second time and have addressed issues fare very well in that second application process. We're able to go back and see, wow, they contacted us, they did all the things that we asked. And we had interest in them anyway if we interviewed them. So they fare really well.
I'm impressed with the number of interviewees you had for your PA seats. We have 70 seats in our PA program and interviewed almost 400 to fill those seats. And this year, they're probably going to do even more than that. That's just for PA. DO is a class size of 160. We interviewed 750 last year just to fill those 160 seats. And I know their plan is to do more interviews this year. So not everyone gets a seat, not everyone gets an offer, but yes, if you're invited to interview, it's a huge step and obviously the right one, but no, not everyone is accepted that gets an interview, unfortunately. But yes, you are all on the same playing field. We just have to make decisions comparatively from the interview day on who gets that valued seat. And of course, we do interview and build a wait list as well, pretty much in all of our programs.
Much like Jody was saying, pharmacy's application numbers aren't as high as some of these other programs. So I think pharmacy interviews between 200 and 300 students per year for our 100 or so admission slots. So students who are invited to interview are definitely on a very competitive track. They are doing well. They should walk in feeling confident. I will also just note this year, we have given some second interviews to a couple of folks who we thought were very strong candidates, but didn't interview very strongly. And we think a lot of that was COVID related and technology related. So going back to flexibility here, if an interview has been a little bit bumpy with the Zoom format, we have been giving students on a few occasions some more opportunities to sort of shine. So.
Can I just add one thing is I just want to make the point that, I think sometimes students will hear, wow, this PA program or med school or whatever, that one program got 2,000 applications for 50 spots. Just to keep in mind that, all those 2,000 people are not just applying for those 50 spots. So, everybody that's applying, many people are applying to multiple schools. So the chances of getting in are actually much better than thinking about how many people are applying just for one program.
All right, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. And some of you already touched on it a little bit, but do you have any advice for reapplicants?
I would say for us, and this goes for any of our programs, please reach out to admissions. We are here to help you in that arena. We can open up your file, we can look at it, and we can give you advice on where to strengthen it. We can also look at interviewer recommendations, interviewer notes, reviewer notes, recommendations for how to strengthen your application. We want to see that you took those and applied them. If you reapply and have not reached out or not improved your application in any way from the year prior, it's very likely we're not going to offer you an interview.
Like Deanna, as far as SCNM, if a student is denied, they can reapply in 1 year from the denial time or the denial date. Again, it's up to me as their advisor, because of course I'm going to have all the notes from the interview panel. It's up to me as their advisor to coach them and kind of help them through the process to apply again. I do have students that have been denied. I would say probably 90% of them do reapply, which is fantastic. If a student is denied at SCNM, it's mostly because understanding the profession. That is the biggest part of our denial. Usually students have the grades, they have the academic part. It's really understanding the profession and knowing what it's all about. It costs a lot of money to go through medical school, as well as a lot of time. We want students to really know this is what they want to do before moving forward.
So one of the things that we do at the College of Medicine in Tucson is that we give students an opportunity who did not get in to meet one-on-one with our admissions team so that they can get personalized feedback. Was it something in their application? Maybe it was their interview. So it's more personalized towards yourself of, what can you do to improve on for the next go around? And we do then have on our secondary application a question that says, are you a re-app? What have you done in the year that, now that you're reapplying? So we encourage students to say yes, like many of you have already said, that you met with the admissions team and these are the things that you did to improve your application. And 9 times out of 10, students who do that get in. Because if I look at my stats from last year, 35% of the students who were accepted were reapplicants. So and we see that nationally too. So I know a student who tried 5 times and got into med school. So if this is your passion, if this is what you want to do, then keep reapplying and go for it. But get some really good feedback from people about what you can do to improve your application. I think that's always helpful. And to reflect yourself too. Just don't keep sending in the same application. Sometimes students do that. And I'm like, well, the application looks the same. It didn't as last time. So we really want you to reflect and think about why was it that you didn't get in.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add? I think that was our last question because we are out of time, I think. But thank you all so much.